Hello, Assalamualaikum. Today I will be presenting an individual video assignment for the course DTN 3043 Operating System. My presentation today focuses on the fundamental topic of system structures. To begin, we must understand that a computer system is defined as an arrangement of interconnected components that work together to carry out tasks. These tasks include receiving input, processing that input according to specific instructions, and finally producing information as output. At the highest level of abstraction, a computer system consists of four main components that interact to achieve the ultimate goal of the system, which is to compute. The most vital part of this structure is the processor, which is often called the Central Processing Unit or CPU. It functions as the heart of the computer, where it controls all the computer operation and carries out data processing. The processor manages data flow by reading instructions from the memory and executing them one by one. It is important to note that the executing of the processor is driven by a clock, which generates pulses. On every clock pulse, the processor performs a specific piece of work. Internally, the processor is made of three main components. First is the control unit or CU, which could function to control the operation carried out by this entire computer system. Second is the arithmetic logic unit, also known as ALU, which is responsible for performing all arithmetic and logic operations. The third component is the register, which acts as the very first type of memory used to hold operands for the operation for being performed. Moving on to how the processor actually handles instructions, the process is carried out in two distinct stages. The first stage is fetching the instruction from the main memory. Once the binary instruction is retrieved, the second stage is execution, where the instruction is decoded into simple action and carried out. This cycle of fetching and executing continues until the task is finished. Another critical aspect the system structure is how the CPU interacts with the memory to read data from a memory location. The CPU sends the desired memory address through the address bus. It then sends a memory read signal on the control bus, which instructs the memory device to output the data onto the data bus so it can be read by the CPU. We also have input and output devices, which function to transfer data between the computer and the external environment through input-output ports. Every input-output device consists of two parts: the mechanical component, which is the physical device itself, and the electrical component, which is the controller chip on the system board. In the study of operating system, we are generally more concerned with these electronic devices and controllers than the mechanical parts. Finally, let's discuss interrupts. Interrupts are signals from external equipment, requests from program, or error messages that tell the CPU to perform a specific task. When an interrupt occurs, the ongoing process is stopped immediately so that the CPU can run the interrupt routine. There are two main types: software interrupts, which are caused by the system calls within the software, and hardware interrupts, which are caused by physical actions like pressing a keyboard button or moving a mouse. Hardware interrupts can be further classified into maskable interrupts and non-maskable interrupts, which deal with critical errors like memory or process failures. In conclusion, these structures and mechanisms, from the CPU's internal logic to the way it handles input or output and interrupts, form the backbone of how an operating system manages a computer effectively. That concludes my presentation for today. Thank you very much for your time and attention.